Good morning. I'm doing another dragon eye. This one's a little spookier looking, and I'm not going to show you the center part because you can refer to my last dragon eye tutorial where we did the center part using watercolors, and that's exactly what I've done here. I just used watercolors. My rock was white already, so I'm painting it black, but I'm keeping a little bit white there, you can see, obviously. I'm using a paintbrush first and then a sponge, and I'm just going to create a different background from the other dragon eye that I did recently. And we're going to do it all out of watercolor. How you feel about that? If you're not a fan of watercolor, you can do whatever you want with it, of course, or you can just skip on by. You don't even need to watch this one. If you're like, Rachel, come on, put something new out. I have a whole list of really cool things that I'm going to be putting out. So stay tuned. I just thought this one is a little more spooky, and I wanted to save it for around the Halloween-ish season. You can just kind of use this as inspiration, of course, like always. I'm using Iuilewatercolours, and I'm using art resin to seal it. I know a lot of people have questioned, how do you get your watercolors to stay in place? I've never had a problem, and I don't know if that's because I only use art resin or I only use Iuilewatercolours or my own handmade watercolors. I'm not really sure what I'm doing right. But look at these little shark fins. These are little shark fin scales. That's what I'm going to call them. Shark fin scales. So I'm just going to sketch this on with pencil to kind of figure out where I want everything. And then I'm going to go in with gold paint and, of course, the Iuilewatercolours. I'm just using a brush that is dry, but I put a little bit of water on the watercolors, and I do it that way. I don't fill my water pen brush thingy, my watercolor pen. I don't fill it with water. It runs all over the place if I do it that way. So I'm just using a small amount of water in order to keep it where I want it. You can see me like wiping because sometimes it goes outside of the lines because I'm using too much water. So you have to really get used to your water and watercolor ratio. You don't need a lot in order to get that watercolor moving again. So once a little bit of water hits it, you're good to go. So I really don't like using these water brushes full of water because then it's bleeding all over the rock. And it makes a mess of things, and it's very frustrating. So I'm using color shifting watercolors from Iuile, and this one's kind of like red, but it also changes. It kind of goes like magenta, but it also kind of goes gold and green. So I can't even explain it. You're going to see it way better in the sunlight, because of course I like to bring my beauties out into the sun so you can actually capture every little bit of the work that we've done under really good lighting. So I've sketched on pretty much everything that I want to keep. I just kind of put my idea on there. And another warning, don't start lining with gold or metallic or anything until your watercolor is really dry, because or else it's just going to move around. Your paint's not going to move smoothly over top. So you got to wait for that to dry, and I'm very impatient, but thankfully watercolors dry extremely fast. So you don't have to wait long. You can actually see it drying as I'm painting the gold on. So I'm doing everything outlined in gold. We're going to go back in and outline everything in black. Then we're going to go back in and we're going to do some shading around all of these beautiful scales. And then I'm going to add some purple because I like purple. And I thought it would be a nice accent to go with this color changing, color shifting red that we're using right now. So I'm adding another shark fin scale around back here, but you can't see. So just look at my little red nails. My nails might change in this video. I can't promise anything, but nails are my first love, and they help me de-stress as well as painting. So if I'm not painting rocks, I'm painting my nails if I'm stressed. You'll see them change more often when I'm going through a very stressful time. Because when I'm going through a very stressful time, I don't get to paint a whole tutorial all at once. Usually life gets in the way, and then I have to like keep coming back, and then by the time I come back, my nails have changed. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. So now I'm outlining the lid, the upper lid and the bottom lid there, just making sure I want to separate it from the eyeball itself. So I'm going to make sure that's outlined in black. I will be going back and cleaning bits of gold up here and there that I made too thick in those scales, but I'm being pretty careful. So hopefully not too many mistakes that I have to fix. I'm just doing a little bit of a darker line on that upper lid, and then we're going to do some shading later on, which is a little tricky. So I've painted that all in. It's all the same color. Everything's outlined. And now I'm going to add a little different technique, which is the Crackle technique. Now this only works if you sandwich it between two acrylic paints. So you have to have a base coat of acrylic, which I have right here, and then I put watercolor over it, and that's okay. So now I'm putting the Crackle medium on top of the dry watercolor and acrylic paint that's right there. And then afterwards, we're going to put another layer of acrylic paint over top of it, which you can see I did here, but then I forgot to show it to you. So I'm going to show it to you again. We're going to redo it. But basically, you put that acrylic paint over top of your Crackle medium, and the Crackle medium makes your acrylic paint on top crack. So then you can see whatever color is coming through that black paint. So that is a really cool thing. And I do have other Crackle videos that I can show you, and I will post those in the description of this video, as well as my last dragon eye, so that you can see how that eyeball part is done with watercolors. It's the exact same way. So everything's outlined in black and gold. Now I'm going to make sure that I have pure white in here. I did pencil on some stuff that I didn't need, so I'm getting rid of that. And now I am putting black paint on top of that Crackle medium because it's finally dry. So you get to see that. And it slowly, as it dries, you can see that metallic paint shining through in little cracks. So it's a cool, gives it a nice texture. And you can also do this to all your scales if you want, or certain scales. You can also do Crackle or the bubble technique, which I showed you in a tutorial recently, the bubble heart. I can post that in this video as well. I'm here to inspire. You do your thing. You make it yours and you make it beautiful. You don't have to do all the same things that I'm doing. Just steal some techniques from me and make something beautiful. That's what we're here for. So I've outlined my crackled area, and I'm going to go back in underneath here with the same, underneath that crackled area is going to be the same red color. I'll probably add some purple because I'm going to add some purple very, very soon. So I'm making sure my eyeball is outlined properly. Of course, we have to make sure that this looks as realistic as we possibly can make it from our dream land in our mind, whatever our dragon eyes look like. I'm not happy with this bottom part of the eye. I have to keep going back and adjusting things because it doesn't look right to me. But I'm adding now scales on top of that crackle. So it's going to stay crackled, but we're going to have scales there. So they're crackled scales. Now I'm outlining the gold, making sure that they are all separated. Each scale is one. They're not just a log of lines. They're scales. And outlining them in black helps define that. So I'm going to do some more scales, not the shark fin ones. I'll sit this up so that you can see it a bit better in a second. But now I'm going to add purple. So I'm trying to get purple all in between those little spaces. There's different sizes of brushes, or you can just use regular paint brushes. You don't even need one of these watercolor brushes, honestly. I just like the bristles. I like the way they move the watercolor around. They're a bit tougher than my regular paint brushes, but you use whatever you want to apply your watercolors. It's totally up to you. But they do come in smaller ends. I do have a couple of smaller ones, but I'm going to be shading anyway. We're going to be shading all behind all the scales so that they kind of lift up a little bit and separate from one another even more. So I'm going to bring down that same purple under here because I decided that we already have that metallic red in the Crackle scales right above there. So we'll put purple here and purple up top behind the shark fin scales. I'm just making all sorts of terminology up, and I'm okay with it because we're allowed to do that. Are you going to make one of these? Are you sick of watercolors? I don't think I'll ever be sick of how beautiful things turn out. I'm going to add a little bit of purple to the middle of my red scales just to kind of bring that color into it a little bit more. And this is going to shift in the sun like crazy. You're not going to believe your eyes. It's going to look so beautiful. I'm excited to show you. I'm not going to do anything with the back. I'm just going to paint it black. Because nobody's really going to be looking at the back anyway. I'll put my signature back there. Oh, more shark fin. I just basically did shark fin scales on top of that purple once it was dry, and we'll do shading. So I'm separating everything, making sure it's all good to go before I get out my little blending brush, which I have a tutorial for as well. I have a tutorial for pretty much everything. If you want to know how to make your own stones because you can't find them where you are, I show you how to do that. If you want to resin your stones using art resin, I can show you how to do that. If you get bumps and lumps and resin nipples on the back of your stones after drying them, I can show you how to get rid of those. It's all in my tutorials. This little blending brush is also in a tutorial, as well as the fine lining brush that I've been using throughout this video to get all that gold on there and outline everything. They're all in the description just for you. This, I'm using a little bit of black paint, not very much, and it's just a little stubby little brush, and it kind of works the same way that a sponge does. And I'm getting in behind and between all of those scales. It's going to be noticeably different when you see this all resined and all shiny. You're really going to notice like the scales lifting up and separating from each other. It's a nice illusion. So I don't do this to all of my dragon eyes, but I like to think that I'm learning and growing along with you guys and getting better, hopefully, and teaching you more and teaching myself more. So each one is a little different and a little better. This one's a little bit better than the last one, I think. I just like the colors of this one. I like the depth and the shading and the scales. I'm excited to show you when it's sealed because it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. You can already see, but this lighting is terrible. It does not do this stone any justice right now, I promise. But soon I'll show you a couple of little stones that I painted with watercolor as well. It's always better outside in the sun. You're going to see me bring this outside in the sun, and then you're really going to be like, whoa, that's what color she was using? What? My son's favorite thing to do right now is just look at me and start laughing and go, what? I'm like, what? Like, what? What was that, Mom? Like, I'm just not cool right now. I'm not cool. My son's like, what is with that laugh? I'm like, what? My laugh? This has always been my laugh. He's like, I know. I'm like, oh, what is with that laugh must be the thing to say, or what is with that hair, or what is with those shoes? Only to be 10 again. Exciting news for Jax. Last time I had exciting news about Landon, my 20-year-old, almost 20-year-old. And this time I have news about my 10-year-old, which is Jax, and he is officially playing soccer this year in grade 5. And I get to go see my little athlete's first soccer game, first athlete out of my children. So this is kind of exciting for me. I'm very competitive, and I like to keep myself strong, and I like to box and stuff. So I'm really proud of my little athlete. So it's going to be, finally, I get to sit on the sidelines and cheer him on. And he's already warned me not to embarrass him too much. I'll try not to. But I'm excited for him. I'm very excited to watch him play. He's been playing soccer all summer. Street lights are on, and I'm calling him in because he's still out there playing soccer with all his friends, and it just has made a very fun summer for him. And hardly any screen time, which is huge. I think that's amazing. So I'm still shading behind all these scales here. As you can see, the bigger scales are a bit easier to get behind. It's the little ones that I'm not so great at, but I am going to separate these little ones with black paint, the little Crackle scales, which you can't really see in this light at all. But I promise you there is metallic red shining through little cracks on that area right there where it looks black. Maybe you can see it better than I can on my phone while I'm editing this. I don't know, but it doesn't look right to me. Wait till you see it outside. So I got to outline the eyeball. And we're going to be putting some little watercolor bloodshot veins. Is that what you call them? We're going to make this dragon eye bloodshot a little bit. And it's going to be just metallic watercolors. I'm not going to get out red paint. I'm going to do just very, very fine lines with my fine lining brush and the watercolor. So you can't really see the bottom, what I'm doing. I'm just outlining those purple scales. You're not missing out on much right there. Just outlining them, making sure everything is perfect. And then, look at it. Look at that paint. It's like fire orange and red, and I see that purple in there. And when we shift it a little bit, you can see some green and gold. It is gorgeous. And when I say something is gorgeous, it's gorgeous. So I brought it outside just to finish up some little bits and pieces. That sun is shining. I love painting outside. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Can you see the crackle effect a little bit better? Maybe. I don't know. Now this is a little tricky because we're adding water over top of some watercolor eyeball right now. So we're going to get that watercolor moving. So you got to go fast. And what I do here is I add a little bit of water to black paint so that it's transparent. It's more transparent. And then I take my little blending brush and I'm going right up under that water line, or that eyelash line that we normally have. Our dragon doesn't have eyelashes, unfortunately, but you can add them. You can put them in somewhere if that's what you want to do. But anyway, this watered down black paint is going in underneath that eyelid so that we can shade it. And if I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, it's because I don't. And that's okay. I'm self-taught in everything. So if you hear me play guitar, it's because I taught myself. If you hear me singing, I taught myself. If you see me painting my nails or doing my nails and with these long extensions and fancy crystals, it's because I taught myself. I love learning new things. And yeah, so that's what I do. We have some watercolor bloodshot going on. I don't know if it's veins. Is it veins? I don't know what to call that. I just call it bloodshot. So it's watercolor. Now I need to add this gold lid line separate from the scales underneath. And you do your shading under your eyelid as much as you want. It's totally up to you how you do that. Just be careful because we're messing with artwork that we already created there. And you don't want to mess with it too much because then it's not going to look good. I got to remove that little bit of gold up top there that I added. That looks terrible. I'm getting all OCD with it. But I'm making sure that all of my stuff is outlined properly. Now I'm just painting the back black, like I said. Nothing fancy back there. If you want to do scales back there, it's up to you. Now we have to add life to our eye. We've got to add some shine, some reflection, so that it actually looks like he's looking at us. Mr. What should we call him? Any names? Put your names in the comment for this beauty. I think he's gorgeous. I put a little shine all around there. Probably added too much in the end, but that's okay. You do what you want with your reflection. Don't go overboard. I find if you just keep going, it's like, yikes, that's too much. Sometimes a little goes a long way. So that's just a little tip. You can check out any of my birds or a lot of my dragon eyes and birds and creatures, whatever. They all have a nice little shine to their eyeball. Like even the octopus has a little shine. So you can take a look at those tutorials as well and see what you want to do with it. See, I kept messing with it and I'm like, oh man, this doesn't even look right anymore. But if you just stand back and look at it, take your face away from it for a few minutes, go get yourself a coffee or what have you, and it'll look beautiful. So here's some stuff that I'm going to show you just while I'm waiting for my resin to dry. Not literally, it's been drying for overnight. So, but I can't wait to show you out in the sun. Aren't these gorgeous? Everything looks so much nicer out in the sun. It's just fabulous. Here it is. Who would have thought that paint looked like that? See the green and the gold and the red and the crackle. I love the crackle. It really looks beautiful. Those scales are jumping off of one another. It just looks so beautiful. My favorite of all dragon eyes I've ever created, this one is my favorite. Let me know what you guys think. I have more tutorials coming. If you have some Halloween ideas or Christmas ideas, put them in the comments. I might already have one for you and I'll direct you to that one, but I want to hear all your ideas. And hi, Beckett. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're all doing well. I love you all. And I will see you soon. Keep painting. Bye.